something of a tradition of Civil War generals and Russian novelists. The natural impulse, but the photo story doesn't fit in the masks when not advised to public. At the onset of social distancing, I was on FaceTime call with a friend. My dialectic had a provocative way to grow and merging through this double. Is that a mustache? I asked eagerly, as if spotting a real boy. It's not a mustache, he replied quickly. I simply acknowledged the scope, what it was attempting. Right. Sleep, sleep. Read. Don't Fight It, by Derek Service. No, I'm Riddler. Someone recently asked how I balance learning and working. When do you stop reading and get back to work? When do you stop working and go learn something new? Being self-employed and in control of my own schedule, I used to wrestle this line. I'd be so destined in reading and learning that I feel bad I hadn't done it real work in weeks. I had time to just work for weeks after stopping to read some of the brilliant books I'd already books. Then I realized something so obvious. It's funny that I'm writing it here. Stop wrestling. Don't fight it. Go with it. Either direction. If you accept work. Sleep has a better body and you'll close your cabinet and go to what's on your mind. But if you're tired, don't fight it. Sleep. If you got a regular spot, enjoy the silence while the glasses. In another day, week, or month, you'll be filled with things to say. You'll be sleeping at that again. Who knows why the brain is into the different things at different times? But we are so much more effective when we follow what our body wants to do, rather than trying to fight it. Of course, I'm writing this as a reminder to myself, because today one of those days where I wanted to do a bunch of programming, but I was at this computer for hours and didn't get damn thing done. All I want to do was read on the couch. So I set the laptop and read for a few hours, but it was less than needed. I ended up inspiring the hell out of me, so that afterwards I jumped up and came back to programming. Now for a tech. Does music boost your cognitive performance? The answer is the Pennsylvania personality by Cindy May. Music makes life better and in so many ways. Elevates mood, reduces stress, and eases pain. Music is heart healthy because it can lower blood pressure, reduce heart and decrease stress hormones and blood. It also connects us with others and enhances social arms. Music can even improve workout endurance and increase enjoyment of challenging activities. The fact that music can make a difficult task more tolerable may be why students often choose to listen to or during their homework or studying for exams. But isn't music choice for students who want to optimize their learning? A new study by Manuel Gonzalez of Broad College and John Eliot of Rutgers University suggests that for some students, listening to music is indeed a wise strategy, but for others it is not. The effect of music on cognitive function appears not to be one size fits all, but is instead depends in part on your personality, specifically on your need for external stimulation. People with a high requirement for such stimulation tend to get bored easily and seek out external input. Those individuals often do worse, paradoxically, listening to music while engaging in mental path. People with a low need for external stimulation, on the other hand, tend tend to improve their mental performance with music. Sonnet 18 by William Shakespeare. Shall I compare thee to summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shift to dull the May, and the summer's leaves had all to reach a short date. Summers are too hot, the eyes of heaven shines, and often is his good complexion tempt, and will fear from fair sometime declines, by chance or nature's changing course untrammed. But thy eternal sun shall never fade, nor lose possession of feathered feathers, nor shall depths bright the wonders any shade, when the eternal lines to time like lost. So long as man can breathe, eyes can see, so long it stays, and this gives life to me. How many are your days? By Liu Babata. This is just a quick note. How many hours do you have in your day? Theoretically, there are 24/9. Here's my beautiful. But I sleep by 6 hours a day. Maybe 2 hours are spent eating, another 2 hours for roaming jogging, and 3 hours for getting stuff ready for my kids, cooking, cleaning, another 5 hours doing routine stuff to work and with the blood, maybe another hour doing errands, paying bills, going to the grocery store, or whatever used to be done, another 2 hours doing communication, email, iron, phones, and etc. 24 hours minus 6, 5 is 2, minus 2, minus 3, minus 5, minus 1, minus 2 equals 3. 3 hours left over for doing passion about, for pursuing my dreams, for doing new projects that will change my life, for writing the great American novel, for exercise, for spending time with the loved ones, for myself. I'm guessing most of you have about touch time in a day for these kinds of things, give or take an hour or so. What will you do with your 3 hours? Should you reach out to a former friend right now? It's understandable to want to rekindle love's friendship, but experts say you should think about what your intentions are before you reach out. By Hannah Goldfuck. Many of us may not feel in a pull to connect with someone for a path. After all, even around people all day, children, spouses, roommates, and still feel lonely. You might miss in your most intimate relationships, your fond acquaintance, and the community you belong to that bring out certain sides of your personality. We're especially vulnerable, but it's when we feel lonely, studies show we also tend to be more impulsive. It's hard to think clearly when loneliness will drain our psychic resources. Therefore, we might be more open to revisiting relationships that are good for us. You might also be feeling bolder because of the pandemic. Studies show that being aware of your own mortality, a psychological concept called mortality salience, makes us want to pull our fair shift course. In this new light, rejection is even scary. If like, why not each other? What's the lose? Another reason for looking to rekindle old relationships is that you might be seeking comfort. Research shows that friendship fundamentally of stress. When you're feeling really stressed out, you talk to your friends, and all of a sudden, like, similar threshold was big, was looming, said Dr. Marissa Funkel, psychologist, relationship expert. With this cocktail, and enhance it for support. It's understandable to want to resume a last friendship. Before you reach out, expert degree, you should think about what your intentions are. Do you want to see a quick catalog, engage in a deep dive participation, or return each other's more fully? Identify why you lost touch in the first place. Did your friendship officially or unofficially end? Was the betrayal or disloyalty involved? Why is that talking to each other or influence how you approach people? How did the queens respond to you? Confessions of a Feminist First-Time Grandmother by Eleanor Barrington. Grandma love in the time of COVID-19 is sadly different. Socially isolate from my own survival, I'm suffering withdrawal from child play. Like so many grandparents miss strange days, we've lost the win-win-win of helping careful little ones broad parents apart. Our family currently makes stew with 3 generations walks. The 6-foot social distance kept strictly between us and my 2-year-old grandson confined to his trolley. Our grandmother pajama go online. I'm learning to read backward, be pictureable facing the camera, channeling the friendly joy of my childhood. We do our best, but what is grandma love story time? What taught cattle? I'm a Google grandma, admit it. Now my grandson's born, I bob happily about the living room, singing nonsense rhymes to set on my shoulder. My daughter paused from folding her laundry mountain to inquire, significant incredulity. Oh, you like this with us when later? Later, I'm sure I plod too long as I search a plausible answer. Sometimes I think so. I was so busy. I hope I was. Sometimes. In truth, what I remember most about the early childhood is feeling stressed, sleep deprived, intellectually starved by the domestic field. I love my children hugely, but for years I was dizzy with the go-round of kids, homes, money, marriage, justice causes, and my career. I wished a lot of a childhood long. You are in for more than independent stage. Yes. Consequently, I judge myself for not very powerful mom, not patient and attentive enough, a father who had the next thing to do on my mind, more often than transient moment at my 2 children's lives. 2 children's. Being stimulus free by Steve Pavlina. I like being 100% stimulated. No coffee, caffeinated tea, chocolate, caffeinated soda, etc. This means no decaf either, since decaf still contains some caffeine. I base this on lots of personal experimentation. I've gone some years of my life with no stimulus, and I've also gone for long stretches consuming coffee daily. The 2 modes of living are notably different. Caffeine tends to make me obsessive over trivialities and most focused on big picture goals. I see this pattern in other coffee drinks often. Lots of busy work type of thinking on low quality items. It seems to make some people have a hard time focusing on long-term projects and avoiding short-term distractions. When I consume coffee daily or check email more often, I spend more time on social media or web surf more. I will invest in minor tasks but don't need to be done. I spend more time organizing in real organizing instead of moving the needle forward on big projects. I open more loops than I close. I feel expert busy but I have less to show forward. Stimulants always drain me eventually, especially after months of daily use. That's true even for a single espresso or single cup of green tea per day. It always leads to adrenal exhaustion and then to take at least several weeks off. I know a method this one can seem to be good progress on the bigger projects, and I can tell my mind's becoming too chaotic. I might spend 8 hours at my desk and get 90 minutes important work done. I love the taste of coffee and it's delightful to drink a cup of it, but I've learned that I can't really have an occasional relationship with it and want to function by desk. It's way too thick for me. If I have even a small amount, I risk slipping into the pattern of having daily for months. I learned this about chocolate too, including cacao, but chocolate gateway back to coffee. Same goes for green tea. So I have enjoyed those in the past. I feel safer during clear. I like how my brain works better when not under the influence of stimulus. Review of Star Wars by Roger Ebert. To see Star Wars again after 20 years is a visit of place in the mind. George Lucas's epic and colonize our imaginations, and it's hard to stand and see it simply as a motion picture because it's so completely become a part of our memories. It's as goofy as children's tale, and as shallow as old Saturday afternoon cereal, as corny as Kansas in novels, and a masterpiece. Those so analyze a philosophy do so, I imagine, with a smile in their minds, made a person baby. Like Birth of a Nation and Citizen Kane, Star Wars with a technical watershed that influenced the many movies that came after. These films have little in common, except for the way they carry along a crucial moment in sentimental history, the new method of rightful sympathies. Birth of a Nation brought together developing language of shot editing. Citizen Kane married special effects, advanced sound, a new photographic style, and freedom for linear storytelling. Star Wars another new generation of special effects with a high-energy action picture. It links to space opera and soap opera, fairy tales and legend, and packaged them as a wild visual ride. Star Wars effectively brought into hand the golden era of early 1970s personal filmmaking and focused the industry on big-budget special effects blockbusters, blasting off the trend we are still living through. But you can't blame it for what it did, you can only observe how well it did it. In one way or another, all the big studios have been trying to make another Star Wars ever since. Pictures like Raiders of the Lost Ark, Jurassic Park, and Independence Day are its heirs. It looked at Hollywood's central gravity and the intellectual and emotional level of writing Asia. We waited for so long, then you can come into our lives. Your smile brings its joy. I can't believe you're 5. Jill. He our new little boy, a great friend to new bro. He will explore the world around you, still crawling to rolling flow. Alex. When build our lives together, you nurture our 2 sons. Your love surrounds us always, and you are my only one. Catherine. We live so far apart. I miss you more than Ted. You're kind and smart and loving. You'll always be my dad. Alex. Death of the office. As the pandemic leaves offices around the world empty, Catherine Nixie asks what was the point to them anyway, by Catherine Nixie. In the spring of 1822, an employee of one of the world's first offices, that of the East India Company in London, sat down to write a letter to a friend. If the man was a sight to be working in a building that was revolutionary, or thrilled to be part of a novel institution, transformed the world and centuries forward, he showed little sign. You don't know how various some days your child's mind to breathe the air of four-penned words without relief, day after day, all the golden hours of the day between 10 and 4. His letter grew up ever less enthusiastic as he wished for a few years between the grave and desk. No matter he could include by the sea. The word that grew from is now long gone. The infamous East India Company collapsed to ignominy in the 1850s. Its most famous legacy, British colonial rule in India, disintegrated a century later. But its letter resonates today because while other empires fallen, the empire, the office, has triumphed over modern professional life. The dimensions of the empire are awesome. Its population runs in the hundreds of millions, drawn from every nation owner. It dominates the skyline, cities. The tallest buildings are no longer completed roads or temples, but multi-story vats filled with workers. It delineates much of lives. If you are hard-working citizens of this empire, you'll spend more waking hours with the irritating colleague to your left, who spares shoes and visual footwear, than with your husband or wife, lover or children. Or rather, you used to. This spring, almost overnight, the world's offices empty in New York and Paris, in Madrid, Milan, the readiest stop for commuters who never come. Empty lifts slide up down, announcing full numbers, the vestibules, water coolers hum and Google, cooling wire that no one will check. For the moment, office life is over. Moving through the day with more ease by Luke Button. I recently did dozens of video calls, and at first it really exhausted me. I shared that with my Zen teacher, and we had discussion of leaning into the calls, which feels very tense for me, versus leaning back on the space. The latter approach helped me feel more at ease. This practice helped me, and I shifted what to move through the day with much more ease. Basically, the idea is this. Instead of having a grasping, tense attitude of what are you doing, you can lean back a little and be more relaxed. You can try it now. See where you are holding tension. Take a few breaths and release tension. Come to a place of ease, peace, openness. It might take a bit of practice, but most of us are holding tension in what we do much of the time. If we can get to a place of ease, of not grasping or leaning to every day we're doing, the things we're doing all day can be more restful, and we can finish the day feeling more refreshed. Talking to someone on our long video call? No worries. It's a lovely, relaxing time with a beautiful soul. Have a bunch of necessities and tasks to take on? Not a problem. Take it in watch on deliberate care, giving it a full attention while having a restful attitude toward the message or task. One thing at a time. Full attention and devotion to that task, conversation, message. An easeful, peaceful attitude as you move through. One more thing to help me. Letting myself feel nourished by everything around you. As I walk outside, I can be caught on my thoughts of everything I have to do. Or I can open up to the nature around me and feel nourished by it all. I can let myself soak in the beauty of the person in front of me, or think of the people I'm doing a task for, and feel care of those people. Feeling nourished by everything around us, by the mundane,